trombone teacher and trombone player for the early part of the 20th century. It's a really beautiful etude, but let's work on the ideas of technique and fundamentals and how we need to apply it to this particular piece. Whenever I'm learning a new piece of music, I like to take one phrase at a time and just make sure that phrase sounds the way that I want to. First, we're going to work on tone quality and pitch by singing it. So, we're going to sing it. That's the first pitch. We'll go really slow. I'll conduct you. You get to sing it again while I buzz. So, buzzing. Nobody else has their mouthpiece, I assume. That's fine. It'll probably be distracting if you all run mouthpieces. When I buzz really loud because I want to get the airflow moving. Airflow is the most important thing. The airflow of the connection from my abdominal muscles to the corners of my mouth, keeping it compressed. So when I buzz loudly to ensure that that's happening. So you guys saying I buzz. 1 and 2 and. Now when you go back to the video on the website, whenever it gets posted, you might do this several times to practice buzzing along with me playing it, or along with you all singing it. So you get to sing it one more time, probably not the last time, and this time I'm going to play it, but I'm not going to use any tongue, because I'm still concentrating on airflow. So I'm just working on the connections of the notes, the connection of my embouchure to the abdominal muscles, which are supporting the air, and then we'll add the tongue a little bit later to figure out what kind of articulation we want to use. But for now, it's just airflow. 3 and 4 and. Now, of course, when you perform it, you're going to try and get rid of the slide noise. Because they're not marked. No glisses are in this piece on purpose. So we don't want to hear any of them, which means we need to learn how to use the legato articulation. Anytime we articulate, we use the tongue, but we don't stop the air. If the tongue stops the air, you're defeating the purpose, the sound goes away, embouchure can collapse, mistakes happen. So I try and think of tonguing as the air doesn't know I'm tonguing. It's just playing a whole note. And then I'm tonguing at the right time, moving the slide at the right time, changing my embouchure at the right time for the different pitches. But the air thinks it's just a whole note, long tone, whatever it might be. To practice the legato articulation, you can just take any sustained note, or you can play with any repeated note, rather, or you can play the rhythms of the piece, and just practice placing the tongue where you think it should go to get the desired effect. So I'm trying to get a firm legato articulation. That was sort of I think of it as a da syllable, but it's a little further forward in the mouth than the roof. If I want something lighter, I'll go further back. Or even just use less tongue. And by practicing using the tongue at different parts in the roof of the mouth, I can figure out what's going to work. And then I can work on that and make that perfect. Because anywhere in the roof of the mouth is valid for an articulation, or down towards the teeth if you're doing a marcato articulation like the next piece. So find the spot that you get the desired effect, which is clean, clear, connected, smooth, and then practice that over and over. Subdivision. This is going to help so many different things. If you practice subdivided 16th notes with the music that you have, you just take every note and break it down into 16th notes and tongue all of those notes. For example, apparently tonguing 16th notes causes me to not read music. So what happens when you tongue the 16th notes? What are you working on? Well, your pulse is going to get better, especially if you have a metronome on, because you're dividing the beat into a smaller beat and keeping it steady. You're going to work on timing the slide precisely because you have to hold each note a long time for 2 full 16th notes before changing positions. If I move early, the 16th note's going to sound sloppy. So I have to sit there and hold it. So you're going to work on the timing of your slide. It improves legato articulation because you're legato tonguing the whole time. So that's going to get better. And your airflow gets better because it's easier to keep the air flowing when you're subdividing like that and using the tongue constantly than when you tongue occasionally or erratically. So you get to work on so many different things. We'll be able to know when we're listening to this stuff. I don't know that I'm going to be on the panel or anything, but we'll know people that can subdivide well. Another thing the subdivision will help is that when you do musical phrasing, when you learn to push and pull with the ebb and flow of the music, if you do it evenly with an even subdivision, it's easy to hear. If you do it erratically and it sounds contrived or forced, that's also easy to hear. So this is one of the phrases. This is measure 15. I think you're going to develop a better sense for rubato as well. Now, something I've done, this is the copy that you have is my copy of the markings that I've made. I like to mark in every breath mark that I take so that every time I get that phrase, I know I'm going to breathe here. I also like to mark in every alternate position. Measure 7, there's a few alternate positions, the D, first D in flat 4 and the A sharp and sharp 5. I like to mark those in so that I know when I get there that's how I'm going to play it, and there's no sense of wonder or doubt when I get there in the performance. Because when you perform, you want as much in your control as possible and as little doubt as you can have. Any moment of doubt, like I had a moment of doubt myself when I was tonguing 16th notes and the wrong notes came out. Any moment of doubt, something can just go wrong and throw you off. So right in the breath marks, you'll be a little bit more in control. Typically, I think the phrases are good at 4-bar phrases. You probably have to breathe in the middle of each of those phrases. Another thing that I like that will help embouchure and airspeed is to practice phrase by phrase at extreme dynamics. Let's look at measure 23. I'm going to do measure 23 as soft as I can, and I'm okay if I miss notes and fuzz out, because I'm trying to work on extremely piano. So if you're able to do that and you still keep a great sound, you don't miss anything, it's not soft enough. You need to get softer so that you're making mistakes, so that you're tripping over and having trouble with air, because that's going to force you to learn to do it the right way at a very soft tempo. Then, you don't have to perform it that soft. You can just go kind of closer to the edge and have a wider dynamic. Also, fortissimo will help with airspeed and control of the airstream for longer phrases. Again, I'm not using the tongue because I'm just trying to work on connections. Right? That's hard. If you do that for the whole piece, you're going to be really tired. Maybe 2 lines at a time, something like that. Alternate, pianissimo, super soft, with mistakes, trying to stay in control. Fortissimo, trying to keep your sound great, making longer phrases, and getting exhausted. Which then helps you when you're in the middle of a performance because you get kind of nervous and high energy. Well, it's going to help because your heart rate gets up. It's really good. There's a lot of good things coming from that. Okay, so now we're back to the drones. This side of the room, I want you to be G. This side of the room, I want you to be D. Put your drone on, and then slowly, from note to note, and each phrase, what did I do? skipping around. But I'm trying to listen to the drone, even if there's accidentals, it goes outside of the key a little bit, to have a reference. The tuner's great because it'll really fine-tune the pitch. When I play with the tuner, I like to play long tones and then like looking straight ahead and then adjust my ears and then look at the tuner and see if I'm really where the tuner was, rather than just play and look at the tuner so that I'm using my eyes to tune, because you don't use your eyes to tune. You use your ears to tune. So the tuner's great, but you have to learn not to rely on it. You need to learn to rely on your ears and let the tuner correct your ears when they're slightly flawed with the pitch. Okay. Now the tempo, just a little suggestion about the tempo. I like to play it somewhat slower than what's recommended. The tempo that's recommended is fine. It's good to learn it that way. I don't think you're going to ever get points taken off for taking a different tempo than what's recommended, unless for some reason it's just not very good. But if you play it well and you pick a tempo that you're confident in and you deliver the product in a reasonable and satisfying way, no one's even going to be thinking about what the number was. And no one's, I hope, clicking on their metronome. Who knows? Some people are weird. I don't do that. But if you play it musically, I really don't care what tempo it is. Now, if somebody plays it musically and it's faster and still musical, maybe they'll do better than you, but that's okay. That's not the main point. It's to get it to sound as good as you want it to sound. All right. So this is the piece that only goes for the first 27 measures and stops at the tempo 1. This is the G major by Block.